I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, November the 2nd, brought to you in part by Bovalus Vision, vaccines that give cattle strong protection against clostridial disease. Powered by the Spur adjuvant for better feed conversion and increased weaning weights when compared to conventional clostridial vaccines. Also, every time you buy a bottle of Bovalus Vision, you get a chance to win a monthly drawing for a fancy Greeley Hat Works cowboy hat. For more information, go to power-by-spur.com. South leading the way, and we're going to have higher fat cattle this week. We've already seen some steady trade, not a lot of it, as most of them are holding out because they know they're going to get more money, but 185 and possibly 186 already available, which will be steady to a buck higher in the South. The South is kind of thinking 187 this week, and the South is going to be higher than the Northern Plains or Midwestern fat cattle trade on a negotiated basis. So it's clear that there's just not as many cattle ready in the South. We're even hearing them talking about hauling cattle from as far as South Dakota all the way to the Texas Panhandle for slaughter. So we're definitely leading the way in the South with the fat cattle market. The board is kind of cooperating this week as opposed to last week when it fell out of bed to start the week. But this week, that's pretty much all forgotten. We've regained all that on the board. And we're right in the middle of the longs rolling out of the December live cattle contract with their long positions and rolling into February live cattle with their long positions. And now we've seen that February has eclipsed our spot December, which we're in a bastard month right now, but still December is our spot month. But it looks like we've made it through that without losing a lot of price position on your December live cattle contracts. Now they're going to be trading at a discount to what the South is getting, but the North, we have yet to see where they're going to be. It's going to be some discount, but with it early in November right now, that's not going to be a big thing going on right now. But box beef cutout values are suffering this week. We thought they had got a foothold and had started their rally that we expected to see late in the fall, mostly in November, leading up to the seasonal holiday demand that where we see so much demand for our best cuts of beef. But man, they tripped up this week, lower both on Tuesday and lower big on Wednesday. So it's not cooperating, and the Packers are looking into some red ink, which they hate to do, but they still have obligations to fill. But they're probably going to pull back on their slaughter a little bit, and we're starting to see that already this week. And we'd had about 3 weeks of pretty good harvest on our fed cattle, but they're pulling back already this week, so we're not sure what we're going to end up with here. But of course, the North is still grading better than the South. They just have to have something to put on the hooks in the South. With Nebraska's grading percentage about 85% choice and better. Kansas is about a little over 79.25% choice or better. And Texas all the way down at 64%. But and likely that could be because they've been pulling cattle in the South so much. We just don't see many overdone cattle in the South. Typically, it's mostly corporate feeders. They like to move those cattle as soon as they start not being quite as efficient on feed, and they've pulled those cattle forward, and they're not grading nearly as well. But still, Kansas is fairly close to the Northern Plains there. But we don't get an opportunity to buy weanback type cattle out of the sale barn in Texas very often. Now, I've talked different times about Navasota, Texas. Of course, Joe Don Pogue at Sulphur Springs, Texas has big weanback sales. But I want to tell you about one at Dublin Livestock in Dublin, Texas. Coming up here this Friday in Dublin, Texas at Dublin Livestock. You can view that on DVAuction. Get a hold of them early, get approved to bid, and I'm sure they'll work with you on buying those cattle online. But they've got many standout consignments there. Going to kind of feature those best consignments right at noon on Friday there. But they've also got a couple loads of NHTC aged and sourced cattle with beef care. And from what I hear, they're northern type cattle, guys. They've got good cattle down in central Texas. You just have to find those standout producers that want to do the work. But for more information on that special weanback sale in Dublin, Texas, get a hold of Tanner Monk there at Dublin Livestock. Let's talk about your punchy pick of the month. We just awarded that here a couple of days ago, and I thought we had some really great videos or picks. If you guys watched the punchy pick of the month that came out on Halloween there, I thought they were some of the best punchy picks that we've ever seen, and was proud of those. And guys, it's not too early to get in for this month's contest. Just snap a punchy pick in your daily activities with your phone. Email it to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered. The grand prize includes caps, t-shirts, sweatshirts, cool stuff from Beaver Feed Company and Beaver, Oklahoma. Get some cool stuff from Beaver County Stockyards. And then, of course, the best part of that grand prize is that whole case of Therapies, which is the revolutionary product that you just put on the nose and on the pole of the calf, and it just calms them down. It helps so much with weaning or anything that makes those cattle be stressed. But be sure and stay tuned at the conclusion of this feeder flash video. I'm going to tag a Therapies video on there to show you kind of how that works. Let's talk about your board on Wednesday. December live cattle futures were up 7 cents at 183.62. February up 55 at 185.17. Your back months were all up big, up 20 cents to up as much as $1.20, and that was the farthest out traded month through April of 25. November feeder cattle up 87 cents at 238.57. January up 82 at 238.02. Back months on feeder cattle up 52 cents to up $1.27. Look at your grains. Corn for December up 3 3/4 cents, but settling on Wednesday at 4.75 on regular trading per bushel. November beans up 4 1/4 cents at 12.91 1/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 10 3/4 cents at 6.40 a bushel. Fat cattle trade, we haven't really seen it take off, but there's been enough go on that knows that we're going to have higher prices this week in our negotiated fed cattle trade. Iowa, just 200 head and kind of off the market there from 181 to 183. Not a lot there. Nebraska didn't have any confirmed sales early on Wednesday. Kansas, 300 head at 185. And that's fully steady with last week, but just a little dribble of trade there. And then we saw the Fed Cattle Exchange have an active market there on Wednesday. They sold cattle in Texas at 185. They had higher bids that did not reach the reserves, so that tipped the packers' hand that they would give more. And once again, that Fed Cattle Exchange kind of trips some activity. So then later on Wednesday, we saw and heard of 186 bids, at least in Kansas. 186 bids rumored and pretty well happened out there. I talked to several people that heard and had gotten to 186. Not sure if it tripped any trade late on Wednesday after the 2 o'clock deadline to turn that information in. I sure wouldn't be surprised if we did see some 186 trade, but most of the guys in the Southern Plains, like I said earlier, are thinking 187. That would be $2 higher and be getting close to the highest price that we'd ever seen fat cattle trade negotiated in the Southern Plains. Did see a fat cattle auction on Wednesday. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota sold nearly 1,000 head of fat cattle. Conventional cattle were mostly steady from 179.5 to 184.5. Packers did not want to push the market on program cattle, but they did buy non-implanted or drug-free cattle up to 185. Box beef cutout values, like I said earlier, down big on Wednesday. Choice cuts down $3 at 302.18. Select's down 95 cents at 278.55. Your slaughter, like I said, it's kind of peeling back a little bit. 372,000 estimated harvest through the first 3 days of this week. That's 5,000 less than last week at this time. 13,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, that's Dakota Moss in Oklahoma City, and he's your LRP specialist. Him and the agents that he works with here, you can talk to any of them. They'd be glad to answer your questions. But also, you know, they specialize in pasture range and forage rainfall coverage. So that's something you need to be thinking about, especially in the southern plains, because we've had some pretty good rain here, but we know it could turn off dry here pretty darn quick. But for more information, or if you have questions, get a hold of them at livestockrskservices.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 232.74, up another 51 cents there. CME did not come down much, and we've been looking at the numbers. We're unsure why CME cash feeder cattle index did not drop down to what would be something that would be normal or something that would be believable, but kind of hung up there and dropped down to 237.25 where it was sitting last available there. I'm coming to you from Oklahoma City. Got the Heritage Place racing horse sale coming up here on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I know a lot of you guys made some good money on your cattle this year. If you're running out of places to spend it, I'm sure they'd be glad to take some money on some of these racing quarter horses that they have at Heritage Place, and then you could big shot at Ruidoso and Remington Park and down there at Lone Star and all those places all summer, like so many of them like to do. We've got other sales coming up here. It's a special sale time. I want to tell you about one in Farmington, Missouri at Farmington Regional Stockyards coming up this Saturday, November the 4th. It's a bred cow and bull special. They're a DVAuction broadcaster. You can view and bid right there on DVAuction. They've got over 500 head of a really reputation cows. Most of them are going to be on the younger side. Most everybody with the older cows they've already sold through the regular sales, but at the special at Farmington Regional Stockyards this Saturday, they're going to have at least 10 complete dispersals. That's where you know you're getting right cows that haven't been traded around whenever you get a dispersal there, guys. A lot of reputation deals, and they've also got some registered bulls, breeding bulls, and some registered females from a few top quality breeders down there in the southeast part of Missouri. Turner Farms Angus, Hewitt Simmental, and Abbott Charolais. So if you're interested in getting some replacement stock, guys, check out Farmington Regional Stockyards special sale this Saturday on DVAuction.com. If you want to see a whole list of what they've got there, go to FarmingtonRegionalStockyards.com. Also, don't forget about the special bred cow and pair sale at Callaway Livestock coming up here tonight, this Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. And then if you're further east, you want to check out the Bluegrass Stockyards Blue Ribbon Bred Heifer Sale, and I think that's 7 p.m. here on Thursday evening. But talk about your big sales on Wednesday, and none of them were very big. Of course, we had the big rains here where I'm at in central Oklahoma. Big cold snap, just didn't get a lot. And then after the down market last week, not a lot of producers really in a rush to sell those cattle, but I'm afraid what it's going to do with the market coming up this week is we're going to have huge runs in the southern plains and in Oklahoma and places next week, and maybe more than what the market can bear. But OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, just 2,500 head on this week's sale. Not well tested on any real classes there, and like I said, they had the big rains. There was places here in central and southern Oklahoma that had as much as 10 inches of rain over the weekend, guys, and then of course cooler temperatures also. Another sale, Winter Livestock in Dodge City, Kansas, 2,800 head for them. They're further up north and didn't get as much rain. They would have loved to have had it, I'm sure, but feeders in Dodge City sell steady to $2 higher with most of the gain on the steers. calves were kind of unevenly steady, but they did mention that they had several load lots of fully vaccinated calves sell as much as $10 higher. Stick-out deal I saw in Dodge City was 138 steers, weighed 639 and bring 264. Got several individual quotes that I want to tell you about all over. Green City Livestock Marketing, that's a DVAuction broadcaster. View and bid them every Wednesday. They sold 66 yearling feeder steers, weighed 822 and bring 251. Hub City Livestock in Aberdeen, South Dakota, has been a long-time DVAuction broadcaster. 63 steers in Hub City, weighed 881 and bring 252. St. Ange Livestock, my buddy Justin Tupper in St. Ange, South Dakota, you can now view and bid over DVAuction at St. Ange. They had 100 steer calves, weighed 512, bring 326, and that's pretty well tops there on those light 5-weight steers. How about one in South Central Missouri? Wright County Livestock, Mountain Grove, Missouri. DVAuction broadcaster, view and bid right there at Mountain Grove, Missouri. They sell 103 steer calves, weighed 553 at $3 a pound. Very impressive quote right there. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska. Now also a DVAuction broadcaster, view and bid their sales. 86 steers, weigh 674 and bring 297. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.
My biggest account is Jeff Slatton, the owner of Beaver County Stockyards. For a while, we was selling him lots of antibiotics to doctor his cattle with. He was having basically a wreck at times. Ferropease comes along, we introduce it, he starts trying it out. Almost instantly, his vet bill reduced drastically, and the only thing that was changed up was Ferropease. I've also had other guys, cow-calf guys, this previous fall that tried it. Had one individual out here east of Beaver. First time he's ever tried it. He said he's always weaned his calves. They've bawled. They're right around his house. Can't sleep. This is the first year he's used it. He sent me a video one afternoon. The calves are all at the bunk. They're eating. They're spread out doing what they're supposed to do, and not a sound. So he was sold on it instantly. I've had several other reports of that. Lots of people saying that their cattle they act different. They're calmer, they handle easier, they're at the bunk, they're drinking. If your cattle are doing that, they're gaining, they're doing what they're supposed to do.